Thank you, Massa, and good afternoon. I'm introducing the decentralized evaluation system of UNDP. According to our evaluation policy, we have two types of evaluation. The so-called independent evaluation, conducted by the Independent Evaluation Office, and these decentralized evaluations that are firstly commissioned by program units, which is our country officers. All decentralized evaluation reports are provided to the Commissioner and made public on the UNDP Evaluation Resource Center. So it's comprehensive database, and it's fully searchable, and it contains all UNDP evaluations. So the so-called independent ones as well as the decentralized. These aren't presented to the management body. Of course, 300, it would be impractical. That's our executive board. There are far too many. Even our country-level evaluations that we do from the evaluation office, independent evaluation office, are not presented to our executive board. We have a management response system in place. All decentralized evaluations have to have a management response, but while these are also uploaded onto the Evaluation Resource Center and available to the public, they're not monitored in terms of their implementation. So we report every year on compliance to producing them, but no one's looking at whether the recommendations are being implemented. 2, please. Decentralized evaluations are used in our independent evaluations when appropriate. So we do these country-level evaluations and big thematic evaluations and regional evaluations, and we use these decentralized ones as part of our body of evidence. That's the main use, beyond, of course, by the country officers and other units who commission them. There's also has been attempts at doing sort of large-scale meta-analysis of decentralized evaluations by the body responsible for our performance reporting in UNDP, but the quality, I think, of the work leaves much to be desired. It's a work in progress. But we undertake, as the Independent Evaluation Office, a quality assessment of all decentralized evaluations. We've been doing this since 2011. It's at the request of our executive board. It's assessment, not assurance. We don't help these decentralized units along the way. We simply assess them, and we say whether we think they're good and why they're not good or very good, etc. We rate them on a 1 to 4 scale. It's undertaken by external consultants. It was a pilot, and we've been doing it for 3 years. We're now reviewing it this year, and also it's going to be the subject of the work of an independent UNDP evaluation policy review that's now ongoing. The quality varies. 44% satisfactory, 2013, and 36% marginally satisfactory. So basically, there's a 4-point scale, so 44 are 1 and 36 are 2. That's a big increase from earlier years, but we're not convinced that we've got the system is really accurate at the moment. I mean, we use external consultants, we use different consultants. I don't think we've introduced enough of a system to be able to ensure that the assessments are compatible. So while we hope there is an improvement in our decentralized evaluations, we're still looking for further evidence. Now, we in the Independent Evaluation Office are not responsible for supporting the quality of decentralized evaluations beyond a few broad macro-level areas of support. So we produce the overall manual that includes project planning, monitoring, and evaluation. So we do that with other groups in the organization. We produce guidance for outcome evaluations. We have a consultant roster, which we hope that the country officers and others will use to find their consultants. We have an e-learning course on evaluation that was developed by Massa. And we have, of course, the Evaluation Resource Center, which is part of our support to decentralized evaluations, so that people can see how other evaluations have been done and get some ideas, etc. The responsibility for helping with decentralized evaluations belongs to the units themselves. So if they're headquarters units, they should have their own support. If it's country officers, the support should come from our regional bureaus, in theory. In reality, the support from the regional bureaus varies significantly. Africa, which is our largest bureau, the most countries, at one time had 3 P5s as M&E advisors. We never know with M&E advisors how much is M, how much is E. They've now been reduced to only 2. Other bureaus have none. Some have 1 part-time. It varies a lot. But that's also in the nature of a very decentralized organization. There's no standard system of recruiting M&E specialists in the country offices, so we don't really know what their capacities are. It's nothing to do with us, and it's not closely monitored as far as we can see by the regional bureaus either. So we have a very mixed system of support. Again, this is the focus of our evaluation policy review that's ongoing now. Hopefully they will come up with some answers to strengthening this system. And finally, we have very few measures in place to ensure independence, impartiality of these evaluations. So we have some anecdotal evidence of evaluations being changed, of pressure being put on consultants. We hope it's just very few incidences, we hope, but we really have no idea of how much of this goes on. And now we're actually undertaking a survey to find out from the consultants themselves if they were put under such pressure or if the evaluations were changed. Third slide, please. The main strength, I think, this might be unfair, but I think the main strength is that there's only one of them listed here, is that the system is transparent, that the evaluations are available, and searchability, which I think is a word I've just invented, but because they're all uploaded on the ERC, it's a very transparent system, and they can be utilized beyond their primary use, which is for the country officers themselves. But we have a number of weaknesses with the system, in addition to the ones I just mentioned about support. The compliance for our decentralized evaluation is based on an evaluation plan. So the evaluation plan is provided with country program documents and other program documents. The problem is that these plans are often not very strategic. There's no text, it's just a list of evaluations, when they'll be completed and how much they expect to cost. So it's very difficult for the oversight bodies to actually determine whether they make sense or not. They are often driven by the demands of donors and not by the real need for undertaking evaluations in terms of learning or being held accountable. They're not seen as evaluations are not seen as a critical part of the project cycle on the whole. We heard about that with UNEDAP this morning, and it's quite similar with our decentralized evaluations. They're often an afterthought with limited evaluability up front. The linkages with the RBM system is also often unclear, and that causes great confusion on occasion in our decentralized units. Overall, we see a poor evaluation culture and weak incentives to do evaluation. One of the reasons for incentives is that we mobilize a lot of our resources at the country level, and therefore the incentive to potentially have negative evaluations is limited. About 90% on average of our money is mobilized from governments and donor organizations. One of my colleagues who looks after this in our office raised a question, which is, should decentralized evaluations be about learning and independent evaluations about accountability? So I throw that out there, she asked me to. But in terms of the final question that we were asked to answer by Massa, which is the role of UNEG, to some extent we already have, we already have norms and standards for evaluation. So whether we need to harmonize our practices, I'm not sure we do, although there are a number of areas where we should learn from each other and strengthen the way we do these things. But there's one specific area where I think we could all learn from each other and collectively strengthen the way we do these things, and that is on the strengthening of impartiality in decentralized evaluations, because of this fear that we have that they're not always impartial, and that the people with the oversight function are too far away to really know what is happening at the local level.
Thank you, Michael.